Township Board of Trustees. This is our regular meeting of Wednesday, March 18th, 2026. Item 1 is roll call. I'll call the roll. Mr. Snoik.
Here.
Mr. Hermanette is absent with notice. Mr. Bradshaw.
Here.
Harrison is here. Ms. Henry.
Here.
Mr. Zoller.
Here.
And Mr. Robertson.
Aye.
Item 2 is Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation. Please stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father, we give thanks this evening for the opportunity to be here. Please guide our work. Help us to work well together. We give thanks for those who protect us while we're here. Please give them your protection and comfort to their families. We ask this all in your name. Amen. Item 3 is consideration of the meeting agenda. Having reviewed tonight's agenda, are there any additions, deletions?
Move approval of the agenda as presented. Support.
Moved by Bradshaw, support by Snoink to approve the agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The agenda is approved. Item 4 is public comment. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. Item 5, conflict of interest. Board members having approved tonight's agenda. Does anyone have an interest in any of the listed items? Seeing and hearing none. We have a remarkably long list of agenda items. Is there any request to remove any of those?
I would ask that we remove numbers I and K. I just need some clarification on those.
Okay, I and K. So 6I and 6K will be removed.
And I think we should remove J.
Okay, I, J, and K. I'm pulling those. Well, if we're pulling those, I'm going to pull 6B as well, Bravo. So B, I, J, and K. Any others to be removed? Having removed those items, is there a motion to approve the remaining items?
Make a motion. Support.
Moved and supported that we approve the items other than items B, I, J, and K. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Those items are approved. Let me get organized here quickly. And we can work through those items. All right, we'll take these in order. I would like to make one amendment to the joint meeting minutes. On page 4, our comments attributed to me, and I would like to amend the last sentence. So currently it reads, Harrison feels that it is important that board members hears these comments, that the board hears these comments, and so they, and then I'd like to strike can revisit the future land use / master plan. And I'm going to ask that that be struck and that we add verbatim what I did say, and the words will be, so following so they, will be can consider if the best use or have things change. If this is the best use or have things change.
Best use for, I didn't hear the last 2 words.
So it would be, so they can consider, is it the best use or have things changed?
Okay.
I basically made the comment that we often put broad broad colors on the map, and sometimes we have to pause and consider, is it the best use or have things changed? So that is my motion.
Support.
I can provide a copy to the clerk, or we can compare notes, but if it's something to that effect, I'll be satisfied. Any other changes to those meeting minutes? On the amendment, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. And then on approval of those as amended, I'll make a motion that we approve them.
Support.
Moved by Harrison, supported by Bradshaw to approve the minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. 6B is approved. So now we can go to 6I, and this is Everett's Landscaping. Who asked for this to be removed?
I did.
Okay, Mr. Robertson, you lead us off then, please.
with your permission, I'd like to consider these together, I and K, because they're both landscaping bids, and my question really is the same for both. Reading your introduction, Allison, I'm questioning, did you actually get competitive bids this year?
No, when I got the bids, I reached out to some members of the board and asked, do you want me to present these or do you want me to get additional bids?
So we have no bid for this year.
I only have Everett's and Tommy D's.
All right. All right, that was my first question. I wasn't sure if you were recommending a 3-year contract based on current bids, but if I'm correct in understanding, you're basing 3 additional years on last year's bids.
It will be this year and 2 more years after.
Right, okay, and then those bids would have been adjusted upward, I assume, by the people you invited. All right, the concern I don't have so much an objection to the 3 years, although that's a little further than we typically go. My concern is the departure from what we understand to be our policy. And this is a significant departure. And I realize from time to time we do this, and I can point to several cases where we have, but nevertheless, the policy remains. And then the total of these 3 bids is in the order of, what, $30,000, $40,000 that we're bidding out. And I'm a little uncomfortable saying that we did that without at least getting current bids on those kind of contracts. The second point I would make is that at our recent meeting when we talked about strategic plan, I mentioned that one of the strategies we need to look at is what is our long-term vision or approach to our landscaping grounds maintenance needs. And this seems to be kind of, I don't want to say locking us in, but it seems to be we're just going to kick that can down the road for 3 more years because we're pretty much saying, oh, we're going to have this taken care of for the next 3 years. I guess if that was the intent or not. And then one other thing I noticed is that subject to a cancellation fee of $50 or 2.5%, whichever is greater, well, 2.5% of $17,000 is $450, not $50. And so I'm not sure if I think there may have been something in one of the fine prints about if you cancel a multi-year contract. So those would be my concerns. I think I would have preferred to see recent bids from this year. And I realize we like Everett and we like Tommy, but we've had good success with other landscapers. We've had bad lack of success as well, I grant you. But Tommy, for example, bailed us out big time a few years ago when one of our failed landscaping contracts. He helped us out a lot. He did a good job. Klosterman has done a good job. So I think we've just limited the playing field to 2 people that we're used to working with. And the question would be, how do we keep our feet to the fire in terms of are we getting the best bang for our buck on these bids? We seem to be very adamant about that when we talk about other purchases.
Well, I think that one of the things that has come up, just to touch on some of your points, is that we don't currently have a maintenance plan for our parks and trails. And having a maintenance plan and having in-house people would require much more than what we have right now. We only have 1 person who is paid on call. Having a maintenance department would necessitate the creation of a Parks and Recs department, which we don't currently have. And that could be something that we're moving down the road and getting to. But the idea of trying to secure for 3 years was that whenever we're bidding, and we're constantly bidding, sometimes what happens is we burn contractors and then they don't want to come back and bid for us if we're moving every single year. I chatted with Joni because she had the same question as you did, and it's fair. But I think that one of the things, and maybe this is something we need to look at in our policy, is when we have good contractors, should we be doing this every single year, or should we be looking to have more long-term contracts with good termination clauses that, hey, if they're doing a good job, are we going to rock the boat? If we come back for a contract every single year, are they going to up the price even higher than the 2% they're willing to give? I think these are all good things to consider. As far as I look at the stuff that Tommy D's does, it's very different than what Everett's is doing. Tommy D's is mowing and doing the landscaping for our wastewater facilities, and I know in the past when we've had, it's a very specific type of work that has specific requirements because of those facilities. They've done a good job. We've gotten other bids. They were still the best bid. I can go back and get more bids, but I think that that's one of those things that we want to keep pushing it and asking every single year, or do we want to have a plan that we get somebody in and we try to lock it in so we have a good rate for the next 3 years, and if we veer from the path and decide, are we going to create this Parks and Recs department, we can look at terminating the contract and moving that direction. But I'm trying to set up the township so that it's not something we're constantly having to go back to and redoing every single year.
Go ahead.
I
Mr.
was
Zoll.
asked about the Everett's quote. We had 3 quotes last year. This 3% increase is still less than the others. I thought it was good. I probably didn't pay attention about a 3-year. But with regards to Tommy D's, we've been using them for years because everybody else has quit. Just like our sexton. We don't go for 3 quotes for sexton. I'm okay with a year or a 2-year. And I think these people will do the 3% or whatever increase. But I was asked about the Everett's.
You weren't asked about Tommy D's.
I was not.
No.
But I know Tommy D's, we've had others quit, so we've had them for a number of years. And we haven't gotten multiple quotes prior to your position. Previous person didn't get multiple quotes after we got Tommy D's, so.
Well,
Just trying to.
that's
I'm-
not true,
Well,
because I was the person. and I
yes,
got
and you
quotes.
didn't present them with it to us,
I
so,
got quotes.
you know, so you didn't send us the quotes, you just said, oh, Tommy D's is the only one. Okay, fine. So,
No,
I'm okay going either way. If you wanna go 1 or 2 years, or if you wanna go 3, I'll support you either way.
Well, let me try to drive 2 issues, I guess. One is that we don't have bids, at least the required amount of bids, and the concern about a 3-year locking us into agility to do it. So let's start with bids, and I'll start with Mr. Robertson, who raised it. Are you uncomfortable with even a 1-year or a 2-year? Without bids, are you uncomfortable entirely with moving it, or are you just pointing out
No,
we're being
in fact-
inconsistent?
No, not at all. In fact, when I was doing the landscaping bids, we approved 2-year contracts several times.
I'm saying tonight, would you be uncomfortable moving ahead at all?
I'm
given the
disappointed that
current
we
status?
didn't base the 3-year contract on a current bid. We based it basically on the last year's bid.
Okay.
And so, and then the second element of that, and I understand that for the sexton, we've had, decades of problems, and it's such a specific. I don't see the wastewater treatment plant, the water plant as being that specific. I mean, if they don't fertilize, all they've got to do is mow and stay out of the ponds. It's not that big of a deal. So I don't think it's that specific, and I think the year that Tommy built, he did both. He finished up the community green and so forth. So I'm okay with a 2, even a 3-year contract, but I would have preferred it come with a current bid. And then I think coupled in that, if we're gonna do that, then we have to give some thought to our policy that says we're required to do these bids. In fact, I'm bordering on sealed bids in terms of the amount we're approving tonight. And if that's gonna be the case, and I get it, with our attorney, we don't do it, with our engineer, we don't do it, but those are so uniquely dependent on historical knowledge, whereas I don't see landscaping as being that. And so I'd be certainly okay with 2 years, even 3, but I prefer it would have been done based on bids from this year.
Let me throw out, because I understand the manager's response that when you have a dependable contractor, should we be looking at a preferred contractor, continuation? That when we're going out for new services, yes, we should make sure we're getting a competitive rate, but if we find someone at a competitive rate and the increase is within, the rate of inflation, something that we can look at, and should we, we do it with the auditor, we do it with a lot of professional services, right? And when we find someone who's good, they're worth keeping. So I do understand that, and it is often busy work with the same I shouldn't say busy, it's due diligence work with the same outcome, but we at least know we're getting good pricing. So could we look at something in our policy that allows the manager to present a preferred, you know, whatever the word we want is, but when we want to continue based on excellence of service, can that be presented as a standalone? And then we're not going out for, I mean,
Well,
just
the
trying
reason
to
we
continue to
changed
just,
was because of quality at the community green.
sure.
And we actually got charged less.
So at that time, it made sense to it, but now that we have someone
And that was
secured
just
in,
a year
you know, I just re-signed with my guy and I didn't go out to bids. I'm like, he does a great job and
And
sign
if I
it.
can just add, the reason that I had called Manager Nugent and talked about this is too, I don't have an issue with these people doing it frankly, but if this is what we're gonna do, then let's change our policy. Because we're not following our policy.
Would there be an objection to the approval tonight and a direction to the manager to come forward with a continuation of service amendment that would articulate excellence of service and competitive price based on X and Y that we can consider, so we can at least get this out the door? I know we'll be opening the parks and things like that here soon. Or should we table it and
I think we should,
follow our policy?
I think we should go with the two recommended for 1 year.
Okay,
Then we can go,
let's enter that in for discussion.
that would be my motion.
Okay,
I'll
Does it-
support that motion.
okay, there's a motion to support both contracts for 1 year. Is that?
Yes, I and Kate, because they're
Yep.
really the same
Yep.
issue for me.
Okay,
And
go ahead,
if I
sir.
could just add to the discussion there, I remember when we built this building, we worked with first companies, and obviously they have subcontractors that bid on this work, and then they have a list of people that they know by experience or reputation can do the job that they need to be done, and they will ask for bids, so they invite bids for people that, you know, so in a case like this, I'll just use Colsterman as example, because I think they did 1 year for us, and they did a fine job. And so the idea is you bid out not to everybody that has a pickup truck and a lawnmower in the back of it, but, you know, people that by reputation or our own experience have done a good job, because that way at least you're keeping their feet to the fire as far as we love you, but we want to make sure we're still getting the best value for our money and our tax.
Okay. Manager, any questions on the discussion?
No, what I'm hearing is that the interest is doing 1 year for now with both. I did want to point out, though, that in Everett's, at the very back of their quote, there's a service contract, but then they have add-ons. And so I don't know if anybody took a look at some of the services they did add as well. I want to make sure we talk about that a little, because it's like bed preparation and mulch and library. They do a lot of the preparation around the library, the tree cutting.
Those
This
aren't
should
in
not
there?
have been in
They aren't
a
in it.
consent item then. This should have been, you know, I'm okay with the contract, what we did last year. But if you want to add on things, then you have to come back to us.
I can bring that on back in the next meeting.
Okay?
That's fine. We can discuss it.
But you know, the main contract for mowing and fertilizer and stuff like that is what I recommended and Dick supported, I'm pretty sure, correct?
Well, okay, but I guess when I looked at that list, and I didn't realize those were above, because these are just routine services for, you know, for typical landscaping, bed preparation, mulching, pruning of, so those were all gonna be on top of this amount?
They were never done, they weren't done before, so when they came in, they were doing some of these extra work for us, but they put that in as extra services. So we can discuss that at the next meeting and
All right,
decide. A lot of this stuff was approved over the course of the summer as it was needed to be done, like the township beds hadn't been mulched in a few years. We asked them to give us a quote, they came in and brought it in midway through the season, so I think they just wanted to front load it so we could take a look at it now versus throughout the year.
Yeah, so if we look at the recommended motion, and I'm going to ask that we ask you to review it and at least affirm that that is your motion, that the recommended motion is for the mowing services at the stated amount.
It's mowing and fertilizing.
Okay, for the, in the stated amounts in the recommended motion.
On I, and then
Yep,
K is basically the mowing and
Yep,
training.
okay. So a motion has been made by Zoller, supported by Robertson, to approve item 6I and 6K for 1 year in the amounts noted in the recommendation of motion, which is $17,782.08 and $14,708 for 1 year of service. Any discussion on those motions?
I have a question. So,
Yep.
the Tommy's contract for 2026, and it's only $22, but it says 14,730, not 708. So I just wanna,
So the recommended motion is different than the contracted
Yes.
amount
I'll make an amendment to my recommendation.
to reflect the bid?
Mhm.
Okay. Good eye. Recognizing that is the intention. Any other questions, comments?
Just for clarification, did you make a motion to amend your motion? Is that what
To amend the dollar amount.
Okay,
We just are going to recognize it as the bid
It's
amount.
the actual quoted number, not what's
Okay.
up here on our
okay,
screen.
so 14, 30, okay,
Okay.
all right,
Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yep.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. Again, welcome feedback such as this should be on the consent agenda. We sometimes load that up in interest of housekeeping and saving time, but if we're putting too much on there that deserves deliberation, that's constructive, so thank you. We now have item 6J. This is request to revise the township HSA contribution policy from bi-weekly to monthly. Joni, this was you?
Yes, yep. I have had a couple of conversations with our, with my assistant clerk who does this work. And I also had a long conversation with Chief Seiler about how his staff is feeling about it. And I would just appreciate if we could table this. And I don't know if we need to have another conversation with the manager, with the personnel committee, but I just think we need to spend a little bit more time and get some more feedback, and come up with a little bit better plan.
So the intention was to avoid annual funding, correct?
Correct.
And so we just assumed that monthly aligns with other things that we fund. And you're telling me there are concerns about that?
There are
from
concerns
both
about that
a operational standpoint and impact
on staff.
on staff. Okay.
Yeah.
Rather than us work through those, is there a time sensitivity to this that, I mean, we're processing it already, right? I mean,
We just need to have it ready before October. There was a little bit of pushback as far as like how we distribute the funds and if we should be doing it more on a quarterly or a biannual basis. But this was done in advance and then we got some feedback, which is why we're asking, let's pull it back, have a discussion and decide what is gonna make everybody happy in this situation where we feel comfortable and it's not coming back again.
okay. So is there a motion?
So I would like to make a motion that we table it and bring it back.
Support.
Moved by Henry, support by Zoller to table this item to return to the board after it's been vetted more thoroughly. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That item will return. Thank you all. Item 7 is reports from board committee officers and staff. Those have been provided for your review. Is there any question, comments, observations on those? All right, item 10A is an ordinance under first read. This is to approve an ordinance amending the Charter Township Caledonia liquor license control ordinance.
I'm sorry, I have to stop you 1 second. We
Yes,
did
ma'am.
not do a motion for the entire consent agenda.
We did.
Oh, we did with
We did.
changes. I'm so sorry.
Nope.
I'm so sorry. I just want to make
How
sure.
could anyone be confused?
I
It
know.
can't be confusing.
Okay. I think I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I didn't remember it either, but I trusted you would have caught it if we did it, so I didn't say anything.
No, we
Okay,
did.
I think,
All
I'm sure
right.
this is gonna make sense to me
I
tomorrow.
would have believed you either way.
Okay, all right,
So,
sorry, carry on.
I'm driving the bus. I don't know which off-ramp we just passed. Okay, 10A is an ordinance to amend our liquor license. I believe this is I'll quickly state it and then allow the manager and clerk I know has been involved, that our original ordinance, we were considered one unit along with the village. I believe it was the growth of the village now allows them to be considered, or not allows, requires them to be considered their own granting unit, and therefore, we had put an emphasis on, boy, the village Main Street's a good place to put one of these if it makes sense, and now we're not allowed to do that. And then just stating, I guess, an editorial aside, that Essential Bean, which has changed locations, changed menu, did many of the things we told them to go do, are now no longer eligible because they also reside in the village. So that's a disappointment when a local business reinvests, expands their services to the community. Now we're not able to support that, but we are not allowed to issue our remaining license, which is now singular because of the new math, and so on. But these are amendments which would recognize those changes. Other changes within those?
No, there were only just a couple of places where it referenced the village. The only thing that I would just throw out, and this is just for you all to think about, because the rules are a little bit different now, being that the village gives out their own, on page 7, under location, reference shall be given to the M37 commercial corridor between or near 100th Street and 84th Street, over locations near the M6 interchange. I just want to point out, do we still want it to say that? My only thought is, it would be nice to have a nice restaurant up by the M6 over interchange, you know what I'm saying? And we're kind of
It just
really,
says preference.
sure, and exactly, so it doesn't really matter, but just something to think about.
Yep.
And one of the things that we had discussed when we did this originally is, if it's gonna be a good chain type, they're gonna bring their own license.
License.
More towards
That
the
could be.
smaller business.
Before they buy dirt, they're gonna have all that
They're
other
gonna
stuff.
get a license.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
So
good
that's all there
observation. I
is,
don't think we
yeah.
need to change it tonight, but definitely that. And I would say, you know, we did good work on this, and now no one qualifies. So, I don't know if
Kinda
that's,
sad.
if that's
It is
good or
kinda
not. Or maybe no one's interested. You know, those who have expressed interest, Alaska House, Deep Roots, I'm not sure I'm still there had we not done this work, which we can't seem to attract, you know, someone under these. I'm still not sure that's the best use. Yeah, given that they're, you know, either seasonal or only open to, you know, private events. Those to me would still kind of be deal killers for a publicly presented license. If they wanted to get one on their own, we would support it. So it's not that we don't want them to have it, but providing one that is a public asset raises that. All right. Other thoughts? It's first read, so no action is required, but certainly people's insights are appreciated. All right, 10B is a motion to approve a quote for an HVAC system maintenance contract. Manager Nugent.
Yeah, so I solicited 3 bids for a maintenance contract. I also asked for a 3-year contract just to see what those would be. I reached out to Hometown Heating and Cooling. Their bid was $2,650, but they never gave me an official quote. It was just an email. So I was still waiting on that. They still do great work on the side when we need them to help. The second one I contacted was Halst Heating and Cooling. They do the commercial units at the library. They've done a good job. Their quote was $7,120 with that price locked in for the next 3 years. So that would not change. More Mechanical was more of a larger company I contacted, and their quote was much higher. It was $15,490. My recommendation is that we go with Halst. We know the work they do. They do a good job. And the board can decide if they want to just do a 1-year contract or if they want to lock into a 3-year contract and then with the termination clause.
I'll make a motion, go 1 year with Halst.
Okay.
Why 1 year, sir?
We don't have a long-term history with them. They've only been doing the big commercial units, their big air handlers, not the rest of our small units, and I want to see how their service is. You know, we have been splitting those up between the smaller guy and, I think Blaine did it last year, like this Hometown quote. I'm good with 1 year, and then I'd like to see a split for just the air handlers versus the other small units, because, I don't think Hulst is out of line, but I think it's high. But I know why you tried to get them to do everything, so my motion's 1 year.
It just, I'll support the motion, but would like to continue the discussion. I'm the least qualified person on the content of these services, but striking the range of pricing we've received. And so, 901, I didn't include the library, so if it's got an apple and an orange in here, but it's still.
It includes everything but the 2 big air handlers at the library, because it's proprietary software, and it costs a lot of money for your annual subscription that a smaller contractor isn't going to do, like Blaine, who now, the firefighter, works for us, but he just did all the rest of them. We've had it split in the past, after we got rid of Siemens. We haven't had good luck with the large companies. That's another reason. Hulst is fairly big. They're more folksy, we'll say. So I'd like to see how they do for a year, and I do want to see it split next year between the rest of the units and the big air handlers.
All right, and just one other question, I know, with apologies, but for my education, when we say, see how they do, what is I understand when I need someone, because it's not blowing heat or hot or cold air, how do we know if they're doing a good job
Well,
under this contract?
it's pretty easy. They're supposed to do preventative maintenance, but, we watch and see what comes up on repairs. We check for how their call out is if we have issues. Make sure things are working properly. We have people in different departments that know enough about HVAC that they're gonna tell us if there's an issue with the contractor.
All right, and it's spelled out that
Does
they
that
come
make
out.
sense what I'm saying?
I guess, so they're gonna, is it spelled out? I didn't look at it because it's like reading in Spanish.
Basically what they do is
Well, let me finish my question.
They check the operational out, they recommend if something's broken, they recommend that we replace a piece or part. They also change filters and things like that.
And they do this on a set schedule, or when things appear not to be working?
I believe it's quarterly.
It's quarterly. It's
It
quarterly.
it says up to 4 times a
Okay.
year,
All right,
spring and summer, fall and winter.
yep, all right. I'll stop asking questions, because part of it's my ignorance of the issue, part of it's because I didn't, I read things like quarterly and so on, so.
Just to
Trying to
let,
understand the vast difference in pricing.
I think it's a really good question, actually, and I did contact a fourth person, Frontier Air, which is out of Caledonia. They refused to quote commercial for us. I think the reason you're gonna see such a huge difference in the pricing is that companies like More Mechanical, and I think, what is Quality Air, they will give you huge, they'll give you huge estimates. The bigger companies kind of do, and you either take it or you leave it. That's why you try to find kind of these mid-level companies that are, they've got a presence, they've got a good reputation, but it's not uncommon to see this kind of range and estimates with HVAC companies depending on their size.
Okay. Right.
I'll be happy to help you next year working on that.
So the recommendation was for Hulst Heating and Cooling.
For
Greg,
1
did
year.
you make a motion for one? You did make a motion
Did
for 1
for
year.
1 year.
Is there a support for that?
You supported it.
I supported it. Oh, to continue the discussion, I sure did. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor of a 1-year contract at $7,120 for Hulst Heating and Cooling, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And that will be how we move forward. Thank you. Final comment, if they do a good job, let's do a 3-year contract, so we don't have to keep doing these things, right? That's all.
We'll bring it back.
All right. It would be nice to get preferred and trusted vendors.
Well,
Yep.
we had one for 10 years and they just went by the wayside, and then
Okay.
we started using Siemens and they did it good for about a year or two, probably 2 years, and then they kind of went by the wayside, so. These 3-year contracts aren't always the best with these larger type things.
All right. Let's see, repainting 10C, discussion and or a motion to approve a quote for the exterior repainting of the Township Hall and Township Fire Barn. Madam Manager.
I may have Scott come in and talk a little bit about this because him and his team have been pretty instrumental in getting quotes. We started getting requests from people in the office, and I've heard some comments on the board about ever since they painted that building, like what would it cost to paint this building? And so this is kind of a discussion item. We included it in our budget as building fixes for this year, but it's recommended that depending on if it's a commercial or an industrial building, that you should paint steel between every 5 to 12 years. Just extends the lifetime of the steel. I don't know that this building has ever been painted. I could be wrong, but it's probably,
It has.
it has. I'm not sure when. I couldn't find anything in our notes that it had been.
We owned it, correct, Craig?
We painted, I'm pretty sure we painted the whole thing when we did this. Because we had all kinds of new steel, because we had different windows and things like that. But
Okay.
Yeah.
we did
I thought it
some.
was just pressure washed, that's what I.
When we redid this and added this, we did some painting.
All
Well,
right.
this was an addition, so this was new, this portion.
I'm well aware of that. But there's also the back areas new too, and we blended, I know some of it.
All right, so we're looking at a recommendation that we do paint it now.
Yep, this summer, I got 3 quotes. The first quote was $31,980. I got a quote from Jeff Bryant, he was $61,880. And then the third was $38,000. And that was from Dave Cole Decorators. I had a hard time finding people who did exterior painting. And this is more of a discussion, and if we want to move forward, we can. If we don't have to, but it's not a bad idea to repaint the building.
I think the real discussion is what color are we going to?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there, but that's probably where I can contribute.
Here's
Chief.
my first question, Scott.
Sure.
Do you have that, 16,000 budgeted?
Well, I can't remember what the breakdown was for what half and half, because we started out just getting, honestly, I was getting numbers just as a projection for, say, next year when this started, and then it turned into, let's look at the whole building. And by the way, the Dave Cole quote, I think the middle one, is the company that painted across the way, and just as a reference, I mean, they washed, they covered windows, I thought they did a pretty good job, that's why we asked them. Going back to the painting, if we've had it done before, I know for a fact, I can't, I was on the department when we moved into this building. I don't ever recall steel being painted. I know for the block, all the block on the fire department side, we painted, the fire department did. It was like, I say puke green, when all this got in the brownish area, even across the back, across the water department, we painted all of it to the brown to match this. We did that like 9 years ago, I think, 8, 9 years ago. And then if you look on the back side of the building, again, you don't see it from the road. We used to have these vent fans before we had our exhaust removal in here, and the idea was this fan would kick on and take our exhaust and dump it outside. Well, when we did our renovations for our areas back there, that big fan was taken off the wall. It's probably like a 6x6 square. So we grabbed siding from inside the building because the original owners added on the back area, like where the water, or I should say where we have our trucks off the back, used to store his motorhome back there. So we took the steel off the inside, which used to be exterior steel, and it's like, it's the same color, but more vibrant because it hasn't been faded by the sun. So I'm pretty confident. I think this was the part when it got renovated, got painted, but I don't think anything on that half was. So I did ask, of course, yes, I mean, it's painting buildings that, what is a good recommendation? Rather, they said, oh yeah, you stay on top of it. You don't have to replace the steel. You get behind it, it starts rusting. Now you're replacing steel, which is much more expensive than painting. So I said, oh, can you give me a quote? So that's kind of how this whole deal started. But I will say, I know the paint's been done on that side has been us by committee, and we were starting to actually consider, because our steel up on front has gotten pretty faded. So we were considering, look, renting sprayers, doing it ourselves, getting scaffolding stuff, but like I say, I kind of wanted to look at what a number was. So anyway, I don't know if you have any other questions on it, but like I say, no, I wasn't planning this year in the budget to split half the building on the whole deal. I have concrete I need to replace, I see now too this spring, so.
Why would you have to get scaffolding? You got an aerial.
Oh, this is true.
Let's think outside the box, Scott.
Right.
Well, I think it's, I remember as we, started to have more things we had to take care of, suggesting that the fire department become our maintenance department too, and that was resisted. And now every day I see them doing maintenance things, building things and fixing things and painting things and,
Yeah.
but it's usually in their own interest and on their own schedule. So I respect it and understand it,
Yep.
but
Yeah,
you certainly have the skills.
we painted the whole inside next door, so we
Yeah.
just haven't done the outside yet.
Okay?
So you're basically, you're not prepared for this year. In your budget, you're really looking for it in next year. And we do, as Dick said, we gotta figure out, are we gonna change colors?
Well, I think that's, but you'd probably be starting a conversation anyways, yeah, sooner than later, because I would be surprised even by the time you made a commitment, pick colors.
They might be
You might
6
not
months
get
out.
Yeah, it might be into fall anyway, so unless you're really new, because I know, FCC over here, I talked with them, they played with some of the stuff, anybody watched them paint, like I said, nothing better to do, look out the window, watch them paint stuff, but the black and stuff they played with and whatever, they tried some trial stuff, so, but yes, to your point, if painting the building, and we've had discussions in the past about, back and forth, is that half the fire department, or is the township, the landlord type thing, and we're leasing, whatever the case is. I don't have set aside this year, but I do think I'd probably have it if I had to, because the gray area I have this year is when we sell a truck. We only put $30,000 into our budget of what we're gonna get back to play it safe. I know we're gonna get more than that out of a truck, so to say, would that be there if we had to? Probably, but I can't say I planned for it, no.
When we've had like roof leaks on your side of the building, do you typically order the work and pay for it out of your budget? Have we kind of done it condo where we take care of our side, you take
The
care of your
roof,
side?
we're still going back to that, how many years ago, we had that company that we paid way
Yeah.
too much for, and it still
And they
leaks.
did it, but my recollection is we didn't divide that cost
Yeah,
between,
the township, it was like 100,
it was a
so
lot,
it was a lot, we didn't pay for that.
a lot. Yeah, at least 100,000,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was always kind of told, and don't quote me on this, I guess, but more or less, everything inside the building was us. We took care of that, so.
And remind me, what's the general fund contribution to the fire department this year? Is it 100?
200.
But that's specifically for equipment purchase, I mean, that's. the
Yeah,
agreement.
it's going to capital.
Okay.
I know we have an excess amount of money, it seems, in the building fund. Is that
building
something
department, no, can't.
that
touch
can
it.
be used for this? No,
Nope.
okay.
No.
Just
All right.
has the word buildings in it. It can be used
Well, I
for-
understand that, but
so.
Can we lease a section of our building to the building department
Yeah.
for $38,000?
anyway, we can.
Well, actually.
We could.
Actually, the building department and the utility department do pay rent to the general fund for their use of their cubicles, and that was just, something I came up with years ago, and I can't even remember what we charge them, but every year they pay 30 grand or whatever the number is for the fact that we provide a cubicle, we don't charge them for the paper they use and so forth, so they do pay, I would say, a very nominal fee for their use of our space.
I agree we need to take care of our stuff, and now that I notice by looking, it does look nice.
Yeah.
Across the street, so it'd be nice to keep up the neighborhood. So I'll make a recommendation that we approve the bid for, well, I'm not gonna make a motion. Who should we go with? I guess, what do we know about Premier?
And can I just point out, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, Allison, but the Premier painting quote was 31,980. Not 900, for whatever that's worth.
That's my mistake, sorry.
Well, how about this? I know Dave Cole. Can you get us some references from Premier that we can call and verify? So we
Absolutely.
can table this to the next meeting?
Yeah, I can speak, where the Premier came from, and I'm not giving them a referral or, you know, all I know is, that came from one of our firefighters, that they are a Hopkins-based dairy company and painted Hopkins Fire Station
Oh.
back in the day. That's where.
Well, there's a reference
But I
right there.
haven't, I haven't been to look at. the
Dave
building.
Cole.
Dave Cole.
No,
Premier.
Dave Cole did this one.
Right.
Premier did
Did
Hopkins
Hopkins.
Fire Station, and I haven't looked at it personally to say if it was good, bad, but I will say for Dave Cole, like I say, covered the windows with plastic, they sprayed it, they washed it, prepped it. What they did is what you see over there, so that.
Yeah,
that
Looks
is-
nice.
Dave Cole's is top notch. You know what, if we get just as good for $7,000 less, then I'd wanna see, some examples possibly, if people are willing to. If you wanna vote on it, I'm okay voting on it.
Yeah, I want to see swatches myself.
Well,
Magic
that's the
curtains.
next step.
We'll get there.
Could I ask one other question, and maybe this is a silly question, pardon me if it is, but the optional add-ons entrance, are they talking about the
This one, the
inside of the
orange.
entrance or the outside of the
The
entrance?
orange overhang in the
Oh,
front, yes,
okay,
the
okay.
beautiful orange overhang.
Okay,
And we picked that color.
I didn't-
She said it was
I didn't pick
beautiful.
it. Jen,
Well,
Jen picked it
Jen
out.
told us what color we were using, and we said, okay.
Yep, Jen picked the color.
It was popular at the time.
I think everyone did a great job, at the time. For moving this along, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve it with Premier Painting LLC for $31,980,
I'm not comfortable with
based
that.
upon, Hopkins endorsing the work they've received.
I'm not comfortable with that.
I'll support it. There's been no second. Is there a second? Okay, for lack of a motion, we'll continue the discussion. Do we want to table it? Does someone want to?
I made a motion to table it, so we come back with some references with Premier
Okay.
that are verified.
Is there support for tabling?
Board. I have a couple questions before you.
Mr.
Call that.
Bradshaw?
Can we get clarification from Premier that they're giving us 2 coats of paint? I'm not seeing that clearly like I see in the other one, Dave Cole's. And they say they're gonna paint the county building. I don't want them painting any of my county buildings, so let's make sure it's the township building.
I read that part, right.
So,
I like, yeah, when people call a city,
We are
why
city,
is the city doing this?
we're city folk now.
Yeah. Okay,
but that's the only 2 things I wanted to bring up.
okay.
With the reference check, I'm not familiar with them personally either, but.
Okay. The motion is to table, to allow references to be
Provided and
obtained, and
verified.
also to confirm that the specs are the same on all bids.
So are you changing his motion? So your motion wants to conclude changing of, or
Making sure the specs.
confirming the specs? Okay.
Yeah, along with them, yes.
Okay.
So I'll add Tim's comments.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Thank you, guys and gals. Item 10D, a motion to adopt the Michigan Township Association's Principles of Governance for the Chowder Township of Caledonia Board of Trustees.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Move support, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. That item is approved. Item 10E is to approve Reisman and Cohorn and the township manager to acquire easements for the Patterson 76 Pathway Project with a not-to-exceed budget of $30,000.
Motion approved.
I'm gonna put anything I want on the end of the agenda, and then talk about it early on. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Wait, we need a support.
No,
We had
I
two,
said it.
we had
Robinson.
two.
I'll support Dick. I don't-
Okay,
right there behind him.
thank you.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, item 10F is a closed session. This is the township's manager's performance review. I make a motion that we go into closed session for that purpose. Moved by Harris, support by Snoik. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say
It's a
no.
roll call.
Isn't it a roll call?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Mr. Snoik,
Aye.
Mr. Bradshaw.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison's yes. Henry.
Yes.
Solar.
Yes.
Robertson.
Aye.
All right. Any public comment? Seeing none?
Scott,
See you,
can you,
Scott.
don't think I'll wait till the end.
All right,
can you watch our stuff while we're gone?
make sure.
See you, Scott.
All right.
Okay.
Um,
Could everybody?
Do you want to just stop the recording,
Sure.
or do we want to go into the conference room?
I don't think anybody's gonna come. if we
I don't
just
think
stop the
anybody's
Let's
recording.
just stay calm.